Welcome back, everyone. Today we continue our talks about warehouse automation with our partner, Wolfgang Lehmacher, a global thought leader in the supply chain world. Thank you, Wolfgang, for joining us today.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. As I mentioned, today we will be focusing more on warehouse automation, and that is why let's kick off with the big one. Most of people think of warehouses as the rows of shelves and forklifts, but automation is turning this idea on its head. And that is why, how does automation change the format of how the warehouses work? And how has it helped the companies like Amazon and Ocado to save money and operate more efficiently?
What is happening all over the world and in business is that we are overlaying everything with digital architecture. So what we are doing is we are replicating the activities in supply chains and warehouses in the digital space. And this means that we beam up data into architectures to see where are our goods, where are people, and what are they doing, and where are the machines. So what we do is we are getting a much better grip on the activities in a warehouse. That's the first layer. And how does this happen? On the goods in the warehouse, this is about the Internet of Things. This is about sensors. This can be cameras. This can be drones for stock taking.
Yeah.
And when it comes to people, it's about computer vision, or they have variables which they use to get information and to have an easier job. And computer vision are cameras, intelligent, smart cameras that check whether people go into a danger zone and then a warning comes up, or they wear a helmet or they don't.
Yeah.
And then what we also see, of course, is much more robotics in the warehouse. That means automatic arms, conveyor belts, vertical sorting and scoring and storing equipment. In fact, the whole warehouse becomes more like modern factories.
Yeah.
And that, of course, improves efficiencies, accuracy, speed of movement. It improves inventory management, and of course, safety, as I mentioned before.
Yes.
What
Yes.
does that mean for companies like Amazon or Ocado, which are very often cited? It means that they have robots which bring the goods, which pick the goods, which bring the goods to the people. They do then the packing and give it maybe to an AMR, to another robot that brings it to the loading area for a truck. And of course, that happens with very high precision. That happens with speed. That happens continuously. And with that, you can, for example, like Ocado, you can expand the range of goods you can offer, and you can also speed up the delivery process.
Yes, yes. So that's like really great points regarding what you highlighted, and especially as you mentioned, like Amazon and Ocado, they should be like this kind of first, let's say, companies who are doing this due to the sizes of these companies and how many people they are working with, and like the goods that they're selling. So that is why that's for sure. And I can say that's really fascinating, especially to see how this like technologies that you just mentioned reshape even the physical layout of the warehouses, and also like the processes within them. And now, anytime like we talk about the automation, I can say that the elephant in the room is all this like this human versus robot debate. And I'm wondering, what do you think about? So, can robots and humans work together in warehouses, or will machines eventually take over?
I'm a strong believer that for a long foreseeable time, we will see people in the warehouse. And this because robots are usually very specialized. So they work with this box and not with that box. They can do this carton and not that carton.
Mhm.
And robots are not very good in problem solving. And we have a lot of problems in the supply chain where humans need to uh, intervene and make decisions.
Yeah.
But robots are very good tools. The digital systems are very good tools. How I see it is that robots take care of the repetitive, the boring, the dangerous parts in the
Mhm.
warehouse. And humans take care of the very heterogeneous, less standardized, less routine tasks. And of course, they have the oversight. They also take care of the repair, of filling
Mhm.
in, fitting in when you have a system breakdown. Well, people get tired, but sometimes systems fail. So there is a lot of room for humans in this world of machines.
Yeah, completely agree with you, actually, Volga here. And I can say that from our vision, we have like the same perspective that the robots, they are more supporting, they are more on the repetitive tasks, but more complex things. This is all that should be where the humans need their work and have their work in the warehouses, and I think in other directions as well. Yeah. And all right, so far the company is thinking about the leap into smart warehousing. It's not like all this like smooth sailing. Yeah, there are like growing pains and some problems, and that is why I'm wondering what are the biggest challenges that the companies face when they switch to smart warehousing, and what's the best way to make this kind of transition more smooth.
The very classic hurdles are well known. The first is the upfront investment. A lot of people shy away when they see the prices of robots, which are in the tens of thousands,
Yeah.
and you don't need one. And if you compare that with what people cost, it is something which need to be dealt with. The second point and challenge is the systems, the legacy systems. So if you bring in new technology, you need to integrate this into your overall landscape of IT systems and software.
Mhm.
And that can be challenging. The third is, for me, a big block is the human factor. At the end, if we say that machines should serve humans, then we need to get the people on board. So these are three big things. There are other things which are the operational disruption during implementation or cybersecurity. When you bring in a new system, you always uh, take a risk, bringing new vulnerabilities into the overall construct of solutions. But for me, the cost, the human factor, um, and the legacy systems are the critical factors. And with the human factor to start with that, it's all about communication. It's involving them very early on in what is happening, making it clear, giving them time to digest, explaining clearly the implications, and then of course having training programs and upskilling programs that help them to uh, be able to deal with the new world and overcome their fears.
Yes,
And when it
yes.
comes to the legacy systems, this is a IT challenge, and there it's very important to speak with experts, also with the different providers. What experience do they have? With what systems? So where did they encounter challenges? How did they overcome them? This is for me a very classic work of the IT department. And when it comes to the financing and the investment, of course, there is a need to understand the total investment, the total costs, which includes maintenance, repairs, installations. So there is some homework to be done. And then also find a way to de-risk the investment. That can happen through pilot projects and scalable solutions instead of um, taking all warehouses or a whole warehouse. uh, One should look for solutions that allow to digitize, automate part of the warehouse, and then scale it up once the company has enough comfort uh, for doing so.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, this is like really great points, especially regarding like the part related to the people and the soonest onboarding of them into the new changes and the new processes that are come up with the automation, and also like the pilot project. This is the really great suggestion and advice to start with. So that is why you try on small scale and then see how you can grow it, how you can grow this into other, let's say, warehouses or the whole warehouse, or all the processes that you have within your warehouse. So that is where there's like really great suggestions and advice you shared. Thank you, Wolfgang. And switching to the next topic, I would like to talk a little bit more about the sustainability, because from my opinion, automation isn't just about the speed, but there is also a bigger impact here. And I'm wondering, can a warehouse automation be both like eco-friendly and profitable? And how do companies use tech to cut costs and reduce their carbon footprint?
Yeah, for me, this is not a either or. This is an and, and people who know me know that very well. It's not I'm profitable or I'm sustainable. I go even to that point that I say that you can be very profitable because you are applying sustainable practices. And how does that play out in a warehouse? Take the digital, the data layer. We're talking about massive data about what is happening in the warehouse, and you can expand this also to upstream and downstream processes in the supply chain, so to your suppliers and to your clients. Data and digitalization allows you to get a much broader vision, which avoids waste, which avoids costly delays, which avoids long distance travel, which can avoid emergency transport like air freight. So these are all processes which are very emission intense, or they can
Mhm.
be all very resource intense. If you have a bad planning, you have understocking, overstocking, you need to throw things away because you cannot sell them anymore. We know this very well from the COVID times, what can happen. And digitalization allows you a much smoother operations, a better planning, much less waste, less kilometers and miles driven. And of course, digitalization includes energy efficiency in the warehouse, cooling, heating. It is very closely linked to solar energy on the roofs. When I was at the World Economic Forum, it's interesting, we looked into self-driving vehicles, and all surveys showed us that people, when they think digitalization, they also think uh, sustainability,
Yeah, yeah.
electric vehicles. So these two things, sustainability and digitalization at large, automation, digitalization, they go hand in hand. So for me, this has to be seen as a whole, and I believe that this separation of sustainability and automation, digitalization, um, is a waste in itself. It costs money because when you see these two two sides as a whole and apply an integrated planning, then you will make more money on the one side and save more money on the other. And For me, I'm a super fan of Patagonia, and Patagonia, the founder said always, when we became more sustainable, we made more money, and that is for me the guideline, the North Star that companies should follow.
Yeah, yeah. So this is like really wonderful vision that you just mentioned, and I can say that I completely agree with the approach that the sustainability and utilizations, they should be like perspectively go hand in hand and be visioned as the whole, as you mentioned. And I can say that this kind of dual benefit is something that we don't talk about enough, because most of the companies, they just see this as optimization of their processes, but not mostly in the direction of the sustainability and also reducing of the carbon footprint. So that is why this is what we need to go and share more into the masses, into the companies. So that is why they can also take in this version, this direction as well. Yeah. And let's look ahead a little bit. So we've talked a lot about the now, but what's coming next could be even more transformative. And will we see in the future like the fully automated, let's say, warehouses in the next 5 years? Or will human workers will have like the whole role in the process as well?
The first so-called light out warehouses we have seen in the US in 2016, and then in China in 2018. That means they are reality. So when we look back to that history of already, say, 8, 9 years,
Mhm.
one may say 10 years, a decade, we didn't see them mushrooming. So the technology is there. We could do this tomorrow. However, there are a lot of implications with these fully automated, lights out warehouses. And they are related to what I said before.
Yeah.
And little anecdote, um, uh, in the Amazon warehouses, people or the robots, they operate in cages, right? So for
Mhm. Mhm.
security
Yeah.
reasons, but very often the people, they had to go into the lion's cage where these massive robots, right? Or they can be half a ton, right? Massive,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
moving things, but they had to go in to avoid coalitions and to disentangle them because there were traffic jams, right? Although
Yeah.
in the Ocado warehouse, there is a kind of traffic control. And we haven't spoken about vertical warehouse. You
Mhm.
save, of course, cost, and you save, of course, land use, because we have
Yeah.
with this automation, the automated storage and retrieval systems, you have the vertical storage space, and that's an economical and an ecological factor. Yeah, but what I'm
Mhm.
saying is that it is still some fun with the robots. They have their own challenges, and as said before, they also cannot do everything. If you have only 6 and 12 bottle wine cases, you can fully automate a warehouse.
Mhm.
That's a very clear standard. These are two boxes at the end, and
Yes.
definitely robots can handle this. But if we go into the warehouses today, in most warehouses, you have hundreds of different parts and different sizes. So that's definitely a challenge for the fully automated lights out warehouses. Then there are the problems. We spoke before about it. There needs to be definitely some technical oversight from my perspective. We had also warehouses, if I remember well, in the UK that burned down and nobody realized it for a while. Um, so people don't think about this, but there can be a fire. So um, there are a number of challenges, and let's be realistic. There isn't probably hardly any machine that we would let run 365 days a year totally on its own, right?
Mm.
That we want to go there, they need maintenance. You can reduce this even in a very fully automated warehouse. So if we take a 5-year horizon, I don't see a lot of change compared to what we see today. So we have very strong human factor. We have a hybrid model. I see hybrid model for the next, let's say, 30 years.
Mhm.
I don't see that we are suddenly have a world where 80% of our warehouses are fully automated. So good news for the warehouse workers.
Yeah.
The world of automation brings them safety. It takes some cumbersome work away from them, but not their jobs. However, we will have some efficiency, but also business is usually growing every year.
Yes.
And in places like Europe, we have a shortage of labor. So in that sense, there might also be some ease coming. But what is important is, of course, the upskilling and the openness to learn new ways of working and using new machines.
Yeah, yeah, that's totally true. And I can say that this is really perspective that we also envision. And I can say that it's easy to imagine like the robot only future, but as you said, there is always a role for human decision making, especially in some kind of edge cases and some complex activities, some complex tasks. And this was like our last point that I wanted to discuss with you today, Wolfgang. Thank you very much for sharing your insights. This was like a really incredible deep dive into uh, um, the warehouse automation. And I think it's safe to say that the future of warehousing is not about replacing humans, but it's more about enhancing what we are capable of doing faster, smarter, and more sustainably. So that's thank you very much. Yeah, and I also want to add that to our listeners, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit subscribe, leave review, and share this with someone who is curious about the future of logistics and automations. Stay tuned for more discussions on how the technology is shaping the future of the business.